In this video, I'm going to show you how to map your domain to your Steering Leads website. Before we begin, I should briefly explain what domain mapping is. Domain mapping allows you to set your website so that instead of users going to, let's say, testdrivingschool.steeringleads.com, they can actually just go to testdrivingschool.com and they will be directed to your site, so it would behave much like a normal website would. To begin, log into your Steering Leads website and head over to the Account tab. It's right on the sidebar, right down here. Once you see the Account page, take a look at the Custom Domain section. There are two ways to map your domain. You can either use an A record, pointing to this address right here, or whatever address is displayed to you. You can also create a CNAME record pointing to steeringleads.com. In this video, we are going to cover both methods. At this point, you can also head over to your domain registrar. In my case, I registered testdrivingschool.com over at Namecheap. So right now I'm on the Namecheap page for testdrivingschool.com. I'm going to head over to the Advanced DNS tab at the top here. The first method we are going to cover is adding the A record. So we'll head back to our Test Driving School site, and we're going to copy this IP address that is listed under the Custom Domain section. So I will copy this, and I will paste that over at Namecheap, but first we have to create a record. So we click Create Record. This is going to be an A record. The host, we're going to leave it blank, and the value is going to be that our pasted value. So here is our IP address that we just copied from our website, and then we will click the check mark to save. And if it doesn't accept the blank host, just use the @ symbol, and that will take care of that. Save changes, and it will take a little while to propagate, but it shouldn't take too long. Once you have waited a half hour or so for your A record to propagate, let's check and see if it has in fact propagated. To do so, let's look up DNS lookup. There are several different tools that you can use. I'm just going to pick MX Toolbox at the top. Click that, and then type in Test Driving School. Of course, you would type in the domain name that you chose, and then click DNS lookup. And as you can see, the IP address that we pasted in to our A record is in fact showing, and it says a type A record, domain name, that's the domain name that's applied to, and of course the IP address. So at this point we are good to go to confirm our custom domain name on our Steering Leads website. So let's head back to our Steering Leads website, and right at the custom domain section here, let's type in our domain name that we are using. So in my case, I'm going to type in testdrivingschool.com and then click Set Custom Domain. It's going to ask if you're sure. It's just warning that if the domain name doesn't have the A record propagated yet, that you might not be able to access your site. But since we checked that the A record has in fact propagated, we can click OK. And with that, our domain name has been set. Now you should be able to access your Steering Leads website using your domain name. So let's head over to our domain. If we type that in, testdrivingschool.com. And if we go there, we can in fact see our new website. Awesome. Now I will show you the second way to map your domain. So the other way is using a CNAME record. To use a CNAME record, I'm going to head over to the Advanced DNS tab, And if it loads, then I'll click Add New Record. I'll scroll down to CNAME. The host is going to be an @ sign. And the value is going to be steeringleads.com. Once that's typed in, we just click the check mark, and that will save changes. And now you just have to wait probably about a half hour for it to propagate. And once it's been about a half hour, we're going to check if our CNAME record has propagated. So to do so, we're going to use a DNS lookup tool. So I'll just type in DNS lookup, and we'll head over to MX Toolbox again, and then type in our domain name. So in my case, it's going to be testdrivingschool.com. And as we can see, it says canonical name with steeringleads.com. So our CNAME record has propagated. And if it has for you, then we can head back to our Steering Leads website and type in our domain name. Once we are back on our Steering Leads website, we are going to type in our domain name. So in my case, it's going to be testdrivingschool.com. And then click Set Custom Domain. And we checked that it did in fact propagate. So we are going to click OK. And with that, our domain is mapped. So now we can go and search for our domain. So if we type in testdrivingschool.com, we can see our site. Awesome. So using these two methods, you can map your domain to your Steering Leads website with ease. Feel free to check out our library of other tutorials, and I will see you in the next one.